When it comes to fitness, especially when you're trying to do this for life, when you're trying to build a lifestyle around becoming fit and healthy, there are a lot of obstacles. It's difficult. That's why most people don't do this. That's why most people have trouble making it a consistent thing. When it comes to women, there are common obstacles. We're going to talk about those common obstacles and how you can solve them with the right workouts. And by the way, at the end, we're going to point you to a free quiz that's going to help you out even more. So let's talk about these obstacles, especially the ones that women face. Let's go.
I was listening to Dr. Gabrielle Lyon in an interview, and I heard her say a stat that said that 9 out of 10 people that lose the weight, so actually people that actually do go lose the weight, will not be able to keep. Only 1 out of 10 will keep the weight off or keep themselves in shape.
Yep.
That's a abysmal number.
Yeah, losing weight or getting into shape, as hard as it is, right? Because it is challenging. You have a fitness goal, it's real challenging to try to accomplish it. It's not nearly as challenging as maintaining it. So the first challenge or obstacle is getting there, but that's actually a small, it's a small bump in the road in comparison to the
maintaining it.
How do I keep it? How do I keep this going?
Now, a big reason for that though, Sal, though, isn't it? Because of the method they got there.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, a lot of the setups that led.
A big part of it is the setup, the mentality around it, like the root of why they're doing it. Am I hating myself through this process? Is it really based in shame or is it self-care? Of course, am I doing this in a way that's so ineffective that after 5 months, I'm asking myself why I'm doing this in the first place? I got some results, but
you got to enjoy it. I mean, you're not going to stick with something that long of term. I mean, we're all capable of enduring something for a certain amount of time, and I think people have proven that they could, literally stick to the plan and just stick to the plan. But then when you have to do this indefinitely, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say I feel like we're very resilient creatures by nature, but so you can white knuckle your way to losing 30 pounds or getting in shape. But when you do it through that method of just restriction and, sheer hard work to get there, it just rarely ever lasts because you get there and you're just like, okay, I did it. And it's like, okay, but this 7 days a week, hour-long cardio sessions, eating 1,300 to 1,500 calories is just not sustainable long-term. And so it's the approach that I feel like really needs to be addressed on getting there that is so important.
You also have to consider that the odds are stacked against you because modern life is one where activity is it's not common. It's actually far more common or easy to be sedentary. Our lives tend to be organized in a sedentary way. We've done this now over the last few decades. Mm-hmm. And food has been engineered and designed to be so palatable and accessible and, or should I say convenient, that you're battling all these different things. So your approach has to improve the quality of your life so much that you then can live differently. And also, this is the other part of it, is it has to be a process that you actually value and enjoy to an extent. If this is something you're going to do for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, the rest of your life, it has to be those things. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to be able to maintain this. And again, the data is very clear on this. The odds are that you won't unless you approach this properly. Now, to give people some hope, because you might at this point want to just turn this off, like, okay, well, why should I even try?
Right.
The odds that you're going to be able to maintain this if you do things right are astronomically higher.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when, we all train clients for a long time. We were all trainers for 2 decades. And when we got really good at this process, the majority of my clients were able to do this forever afterwards. So it was not a, 10% can maintain it. It was more like 10% dropped off. And it was more like 90% were able to maintain it. Now, the truth is, this is it is a journey of, fumbling and stumbling and setbacks. And that's just the way it is because it is difficult. So a big part of this is giving yourself grace as you go through this process. Right. But the odds are so much better when you do this right. We've experienced it time and time again with people. We built an entire business and podcast around helping people do this. So don't be discouraged, even though the data shows that you should be. It's because most people approach this the wrong way. And the fitness industry doesn't do people any, doesn't help them in any good way, because it's geared around selling products, or the information that's being communicated is coming from people who have figured this out for themselves in a way that doesn't apply to most people. In other words, they're fitness fanatics, or they're body obsessed, and that's dysfunction in and of itself. And they're communicating to you, somebody who's like, I don't want to be a fitness fanatic. I don't have a desire to live in the gym. It's not my favorite thing in the world to do. I want this to improve the quality of my life that I do enjoy. And they just don't know how to connect and communicate that properly. Whereas really experienced trainers know this, because this is what you work with. These are the kind of people you end up training. Today's program giveaway is MAPS Muscle Mommy. If you want to win, leave a comment below this video. The first 24 hours we drop it. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. Also, we have a free quiz. MAPSMuscleMommyMovement.com/quiz. Fill it out. See where you fall, which avatar best fits you, and get some tailored advice for you. It's free. MuscleMommyMovement.com/quiz. Here comes the show.
Do you think a large part of the success that you had, or we had with training clients, is your ability to hear somebody out, understand their past history and what they're telling you their goals are, their availability, and then to really customize a plan like for them individually,
Totally.
like versus like, oh, you want to lose weight? Well, this is what's best for you. Or,
That's right.
oh, you're a woman, therefore this is what's best. It's like taking into consideration all the variables of lifestyle, their current habits, their past history, like all those things. And then going like, okay, like I know you're willing to do all these things right now, but based off of what you're telling me, I think this is a better
Increases
approach.
your odds substantially.
And there's also how to navigate the roadblocks that end up popping up.
Right.
Because that's what's going to happen. You're going to stumble. You are going to have setbacks. You are going to have challenges. How do you navigate those? And that's very different from person to person. And this is very complex. It's not as easy as it sounds easy, right? Eat right and move.
Well,
Sounds
a lot
very
of times
simple.
you have to literally build new associations and
That's right.
reframe a lot of things that you may have, a different perspective on coming in. Like, oh, this is work, this is grueling, or you start to learn to enjoy it based on shaping that association and what it's doing for you. And you have to communicate that a lot. And this is where a coach like really helps with that process.
Well, I really feel like my early years, of failure as far as a coach was just looking at everybody so similar as far as their, I've seen that goal before. You want to lose 30 pounds. This is what we do.
Here's a formula.
Yeah. Here's the macros. Here's the diet. Here's the plan. Let's go. And then it was just purely motivation. It wasn't until way later did I get better at asking a lot of the right questions and really listening to the client and go like, oh, okay, this client's, probably going to struggle with this, and I know they're not going to like this, and okay. And then being able to hear them out and then go like, I think this is the proper plan, even when they're in the most motivated state maybe at that time. Because a lot of times when clients are ready to make change, they say things like, I'll do whatever, I'll 7 days a week, I'll do this. But then when you start asking questions like, well, have you ever gone 5 days a week consistently? Like, okay, well, why would we start at 7 right now? That makes no sense, right?
For most people, what a good fitness routine and a good kind of diet should look like is it should improve the quality of your life dramatically. It should not become your life. Okay. Again, this is the mistake many people in the fitness industry will communicate, is that they're communicating to themselves. And so what you hear is this becomes your life. This is your life. It's about hardcore discipline and structure, and this is what you should do, and never do this kind of stuff. And it's beast mode and all that stuff. Which is great if this is your life. Look, if you want to work in the fitness industry and want to be a trainer, this is what you want to do, then that might be your approach. But this is not your life. Your life is not working out and thinking about what to eat and what not to eat all the time. That's not going to work. This is a way to improve the quality of your life. That's how it works. And so it's actually more simple than a lot of people make it sound, although the individual variances can vary quite dramatically. We're going to talk about some of those common ones that we ran into with our clients and kind of how to work around them. And again, this is a journey. That's one thing I want people to consider here. You may have a goal, you may have a time frame, but the time frame that you really want to work with is the rest of your life. Okay, because think about it this way. If you exercised consistently and you didn't hurt yourself, right? It was an appropriate workout, and you were able to maintain this forever, do you think you get good results? Like, do you think you get an improvement in quality of life? Yes. If your diet got somewhat better, but stayed that way for the rest of your life, do you think over time you would get great return on that? Yes. Yes. So it's not about perfect. It's about how do I do this forever? So we're going to talk about some of the common challenges. I'll start with the first one. And you would hear this, especially from women who were coming back after a layoff. And the layoff typically looked like either I took a break because of whatever, I just lost motivation, it wasn't working for me, I was overdoing it, I think, or whatever, or I just had a baby. That's a common one, right? You have a baby, and that first, by the way, the fitness industry will have you believe that 3 months postpartum, you're ready to go and it's going to all happen. No. That was never the case with clients I worked with. You'll see that, you'll see people posting that, but that's never the case. In my experience, it was typically 1 to 2 years postpartum when women were feeling like they could get back like into a rhythm.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because I would say especially if you've had more than one.
That's right. Because it's not just about how long it takes your body to heal, which there's time, your body dramatically changes. It's also you have a child, you have a young child, which is very demanding, and sleep is off, and there's a lot of things to juggle.
Recovery is not what it used to be.
That's right. So, and it's usually around, a year or two after when things get back into a rhythm where you're like, okay, I can devote some consistent time to exercise. I'm getting sleep again. It's not super broken up like it has been for the last year or whatever. My body's starting to feel like it's back to normal. Now I think I can get back into a routine. But when you come from that place, typically energy's low. This is the big challenge. You would hear this from moms. It's like, or again, people after layoff, it's like, I don't have a ton of energy. I just feel like I'm already spent doing all this stuff at home and at work and managing all these different things. I don't have a ton of energy to devote to this. Like, what do my workouts look like? Yeah. So the thing I want to, focus on with this is that exercise itself is not where you get the progress and results. What exercise is a stimulus. It's a stressor on the body that causes the body to adapt and change. So the body doesn't actually change in the workout. It changes after the workout in the days off in between where your body senses the stress. If it's appropriate, it's important, right? If you overwhelm your body with too much stress from the workout, and this is determined by lifestyle, genetics, diet, your current fitness level. So, and it doesn't take much to overwhelm some people. Yeah. Sometimes people are like, I used to work out like crazy. It's like, you haven't worked out in 2 years. It doesn't take much. You send the right stimulus and it's appropriate and your body will start to change. So it's an important thing to consider. And what this typically looks like is 2 short workouts a week, strength training. The best, with all these people we're going to talk about, there are many different forms of exercise, but the one that's going to give you the most ROI, in other words, the most results for the time spent doing it, is going to be strength training. It sends a muscle building signal. It tends to organize hormones in a positive way. It tends to speed up the metabolism. It shapes and sculpts the body, makes you stronger, generates energy. It's not energy expensive, so you're not out there burning tons of calories and sweating a lot, which you may think is a good idea, but it's actually more effective to teach your body to burn more calories, which is what strength training does. So it's 2 short strength training workouts a week, and you're going slow. Yep. You're doing a set of 10 reps, and then you're sitting on the bench or a chair and you're resting for 2 minutes and doing it again.
Yeah, and I think everybody kind of inherently knows, like when you take time off and your body starts to adapt and it starts to just get used to that path of least resistance. So it's like just even getting up and providing extra movement becomes more of a struggle. And so to introduce a new environment, a new stimulus, like we don't want to overwhelm it. We want to invite it and be able to kind of start that ball to slowly start to roll for you.
Well, we've all now done 3 series on the YouTube channel, and they're very different series. And I really feel like this was a lot of the message that I was trying to send with mine, because I had just came off of a layoff. I hadn't been in consistently. And really what I was trying to show people was how little I had to do, how moderate the workout was, how minimal of time that I spent in there was a couple exercises, less than 30 minutes. And, even for the first couple months, it wasn't like I went it wasn't like, I did that for a week and then I was right back to training like hardcore. It was like, and the point was to show people that when you have been laid off like that and you haven't been sending any sort of a stimulus like this, it doesn't take much for the body to start to adapt and make change. And any more than that is less optimal. And it's hard for people to grasp that. And so that was the point of me showing that, is like, listen, even with my experience of lifting for many, many years, I don't need to do that much. This is such a new stimulus, and watch, the body will progress and it'll change.
I remember I had one woman that I trained who hired me. I think her child was 1.5 years. Now, she used to be an athlete, but this was years before, right? So this was like maybe 6 or 7 years before she had her child. So she didn't work out for 6 or 7 years, got pregnant, had the baby, ended up finding me, hiring me. This was about 1.5 years after, so the baby was about 1.5 years old. And I had this conversation with her, and we did our first workout. And I remember our first workout was something like, it was real minimal, right? It was like 2 or 3 sets of squats, a couple sets of bench press, and like a couple sets of rows, okay? And in between the sets, we were resting a lot, a little bit of mobility. We were talking about fitness and stuff. So it was a very minimal workout. And I remember her looking at me, and she's like, am I going to get any results? Because she was an athlete years before. So she remember how she used to train. And so I was trying to explain this to her. And then finally I said to her, well, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you did bench press? She's like, 8 years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't say 1990 something.
You just did something you haven't done in 8 years. That's going to send a signal.
Yeah.
You know, when was the last time you did rows? When was the last time you did squats? So, and she was like, I can't believe, and by the way, I started training her once a week. I can't believe that I'm going to get results with once a week. And I told her, I said, here's how you'll know. Next time you see me, next Monday, a week later, we just did 8 reps with the squat. If you do more than 8 reps, you just progressed. And I wrote it down, and sure enough, she came in and she progressed consistently. And eventually we moved up to 2 days a week, and her body responded the whole time. And she was shocked because she goes, I thought I had to beat the crap out of myself to get my body to respond. I said, no, you just have to do a little more than what you're used to, essentially. So if you have low energy from a long layoff, it's not much. Like 2 short lifts a week, you go real slow, you do exercises you haven't done in a while, your body will respond. You will get stronger. This episode is brought to you by Masszymes, digestive enzymes that help with digestion, bloating, help with assimilation. Go check them out. They're Bioptimizers. Go to masszymes.com. That's MASSZYMES.com/Mind Pump. Use the code MindPump10. Get a discount. Here comes the show.
My favorite part of taking a client through this process, also from a layoff and introducing it back like this too, is the lesson they learn from it too, of like, oh wow, I can actually just do that and see some positive results and change. And so I find that after I would take a client through this process, that would then become their new floor. In other words, you know, them being off after we've gone through the whole progression of just 1 time a week, and then, you know, months down the road, we've progressed to 2 or maybe even 3, and then they're at where they want to be, and they realize like, wow, even when Sal first started me or Adam first started me, I was only doing 1 day a week. I was seeing positive change. Like, I guess even when I have a rough week or something, if I can just get one workout in. So I felt like that it would teach the clients that, like, because you have a lot of people that are, and I was definitely one of these people, guilty of all or nothing. Either I got to be all in training every day or going super hard and doing those things, or I don't do any of it all because I thought that I'm not going to see hardly any results, or what's the point? I'm not going to see anything from it. Where you start to realize like, oh my God, this 1 day a week and 2 day a week, what it ends up doing, it does way more than I expected. Now then I have a different conversation, because it's inevitable. Life will happen again. You'll get busy. Something will happen. Have another kid. Who knows? But this time you go, but man, I got great results just 1 time a week. Maybe I just at least do that now, or sneak 1 day in, and then now that becomes their new floor.
To add to that, like I'll use the same example. You know, she did, let's say, 8 squats today. Next Monday she comes in, she did 10, and then she would ask me, well, don't I need to do more? And I said, you did. You just did more. This was a new stimulus, which is going to continue your body moving forward. Now, this doesn't mean you're not active every day, by the way. I want to be clear. You know, movement daily is good, but that could be the form of walking. What we're talking about is structured exercise, and strength training is so powerful because it really organizes your body in a way to have more muscle and less body fat. And it's a very powerful way of getting your body to change. It doesn't require nearly as much effort as people think. Now, the next one is, this is a person, and we get these clients, right, where they're like, I need to see results. If I don't see results, then I'm going to have this is going to be very challenging for me. And now results in the mirror take time. Real fat loss, muscle building takes some time. So the results that I would focus on with clients were really performance results, because you can see those pretty quickly. Week over week, you can see strength gains, or you can see improved stability or improved mobility or improved performance. By the way, performance increases lead to physical changes, lead to the changes on the mirror, lead to body composition changes. If I chase the performance, I track that as my results rather than looking in the mirror. If I'm looking at the bar, how much weight's on it, how many reps I'm doing, or how I feel, and if that's improving, everything else will follow.
This is what this client, I love to focus on 1 or 2 major lifts, that we will pick. And
that's it.
I'll pick 1 or 2 and be like, this is what we're going to focus on. Showing them, because you can move the needle so much in a deadlift or a squat or a bench press, these big compound movements, because there's more than just you getting stronger. There's also the skill part of it. And helping a client really focus on just 1 or 2 lifts like that. And those 1 or 2 major lifts have so many added benefits when it comes to sculpting the body, burning body fat, building muscle. And so having them hyper focus on 1 or 2 major lifts during the week, and we're practicing multiple times a week, is a great way to show that like results oriented.
It still gives you wins. And I think we need to be able to provide that as coaches to really show the client that like all of this work, it's definitely contributing to, and again, you want to point this to how, if you have any kind of improvement in your sleep, if you have any other kind of improvements in energy or cognitive focus, and anything else you can attribute along the way, we got to start kind of pinning those.
And what this would look like an example would be, we would do like 3 30-minute workouts a week. Each workout would focus on a major lift. So today we're going to focus on the deadlift. Next time I see you, it may be the hip thrust or the squat or the row or the overhead press. And if there's time, we may throw in an extra lift at the end, an easier lift, maybe a core exercise or an isolation exercise. And again, but with this, what we're looking at is like, are we going to improve in these major lifts through technique, through improving neuromuscular efficiency, which then of course results in more muscle, which then results in the fat loss.
Yep.
Next up is the lacking confidence with lifting weights because you're new. You've never done this before.
Yeah.
This is a big one. This is a big one for both men and women. But when you've never done strength training before, it can be intimidating because strength training can seem, and rightly so, complex. Like, what exercises do I do? And then how do I know I'm doing them properly? How do I know I'm feeling this properly? Yeah. Is it soreness? What about this pain? And am I doing the right exercise order? Like, what should I do? With this person right here, you keep it super basic.
Yep.
Very, very basic. You're doing 3 workouts a week, and you're doing the same 3 or 4 exercises.
Get good at those lifts.
You're doing the same ones each time.
I always, when I think of this person, this is also, if I could go back and start my own journey all over again, this is what it would look like.
Yeah.
I would have focused on 3 or 5 of the main lifts. And you tell the story all the time about when the guy pulled you aside and you thought he was lying to you. Yep. He's like, eat like this, follow these lifts, just do those. Yep. It's like, liar, I need to do more. But
best advice.
But it was the best advice. And it seems like such boring advice. But those lifts, it takes a lot of skill to get really good at those lifts, and they provide so much results. And so instead of doing like I did, which was always seeking out novelty and the newest move, a movement I didn't know how to do, or complex positions or different machines, or creative workouts that is like, man, I should have just ran a 5x5 of the main lifts and just practiced the shit out of that for like the first 3 years. And I think that would have completely changed the trajectory of my whole fitness journey.
Yes. So the reason why you want to do the same lifts each time when you're new is because you want to get good at them. Exercises, strength training exercises are skills. The better you get at performing the exercise, the better results you'll get from that exercise. So if you're going to the gym, you may be like, all right, here's the 3 exercises I'm going to do for the next, 8 weeks. It's going to be a squat. It's going to be a bench press. It's going to be a row, let's just say. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so you practice those exact same exercises each. And notice I use the word practice. I'm not going in there thinking I'm going to make this muscle sore or beat myself up. It's like, can I get better at this exercise? Can I get better at performing it? Can I make it feel more natural? Can I make it feel more stable and more solid? Can I practice these exercises and practice the same exercises? Because if I change up the exercises all the time, it'll take longer to get good at those exercises. Now, once you become advanced, you could switch up exercises because you could jump right in. You've got the technique, you've got the skill.
Efficiency you built by taking this time right now to get really good and like really hone in on the mechanics and what your body's controlling throughout this entire movement. Like that makes a huge difference in terms of like time that you even need to spend in the gym or even on workouts.
And the psychology behind this, the confidence it builds in this person.
That's right. You're doing the same ones. You're practicing them.
You're a new person. You're not overwhelmed with a bunch of things you're worried about. You've got a handful at most of lifts that you're focusing on, and you're just working on it. And because you're only focusing on those major lifts, you see progress in them relatively quick, and they have such high return on it. It's such a confidence booster of like, wow, okay, it doesn't have to be that complex. If I just get good at these movements, look at the return I've already seen within weeks of doing this. Again, if I could go back all over again, this is how I train myself. This is how I train all my beginner clients.
Right there.
Yes, 100%.
Totally. And next, you have just the woman that is just super busy. The demands on her schedule are the kind that tend to. I mean, it makes it hard to be consistent with driving to the gym, spending time there, taking time aside for yourself. And I know you've probably been told, take time for yourself. Make it happen, schedule it. And I get that. But look, the reality of life is, especially if you're a working mom in particular, or even if you just have a lot of kids, it's busy and it's unpredictable. You don't have, it's not like, like my wife and I talk about this all the time. And by the way, most of the clients we trained were women. That's just the way that it trends with personal training. A good 60-70% of clients tend to be women. So I have a lot of experience training situations like this. And it's like, yeah, it'd be great if I had a schedule and I knew that I could do this or whatever, but I got to go pick up so-and-so from school today a little early, or this happened over here. Last night we got terrible sleep. Like, how do I stay consistent? And the best thing that ever worked for this individual was to do one exercise a day and to figure out a way to do it at home with minimal equipment, because then you could do it any time. Yeah. You can do it any time, and it's one exercise, and you do one a day. By the way, you add that up, you're doing seven exercises a week, do it for 3 sets. That's 21 sets a week that you're doing, but you're only doing one exercise a day.
And I don't want to alienate my non-moms in here, because the person who actually comes to mind right away to me is actually my niece, who's in her mid-30s and is a high performer.
Yeah.
She's got a killer job. She travels a lot, and stuff like that. And she's not busy because of mom. She's busy because she works a lot, she travels a lot, and making time to get and she always has these spurts, or she's in a rhythm and she's training like consistent, and she's off. And this is a direction I would love to push her into, of like, listen, instead of always being on or off or overwhelming yourself with this high commitment of an hour in the gym, it's like, just hit a lift a day. And I feel like that way of focusing for her opens up still the ability for her to be a high performer at work, still be able to get her traveling like that. And it's less commitment to be inside the gym. And then she's going to have far better results that way. So even the non-moms, I know we're speaking a lot to that person, but I feel like this avatar fits just as well into this.
Yeah, 100%. And now, you want to be able to use minimal equipment with this. So a suspension trainer or resistance bands are great. That's all strength training, by the way. Yeah. A suspension trainer you can hang in your doorway or use bands, and they take up almost no space. That's still strength training. It's still strength training.
You can get an intense workout from those.
Effective workout. I've trained clients like that for years. There's some clients that's all we used was a suspension trainer.
For sure.
Now, this wouldn't be complete with some diet and nutrition advice. And this part right here always is challenging, because again, our space would make it seem that diet is so crazy and complex. And what I found over the years was very basic, kind of goals that give you the most return are the ones that people are able to do and have the most success with. So here's some advice with your nutrition. Okay, for most women, if you target about 30 grams of protein with each meal, you're good. For most women, 30 grams of protein with breakfast, lunch, and dinner will get you the protein amount that is going to give you great results. Now, why protein? Protein encourages muscle building. It produces satiety, so it helps with cravings. It has a fat burning effect when you compare it to the other macronutrients, fats, and carbohydrates. It helps with recovery. Hit 30 grams of protein, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Eat it first. That's the other part that's really important. Eat that first because that's a very important. By the way, protein tends to come with fat. We don't have to worry about fat because your protein is probably going to have some fat attached to it if it's a whole natural source.
My thing I would add to that, I would just say 30 plus. And the reason why is because whenever I give people any sort of a number goal,
they miss a little bit.
They miss a little bit. And I would say 30 is on the lower end of at least what I want to get with that client. And so I'm going to encourage 30 plus. And because what happens a lot of times is one of those meals is 26 and you go, oh, it's almost 30. And then another one's 28 and it's almost 30. And it's like, well, now we're only at 70, 80 grams of protein. And if you're 120, 130 pound female, you easily need more than that. And so I'm saying 30 plus every meal. And or this is where I think shake out of convenience makes a lot of sense where it's like, hey, try and hit 30 every meal. If you have a meal that's on the lighter side, then this is where you add a shake at the end of the day. So keep it, again, trying to keep it simple, like simple, whole foods, hit 30 grams, eat the protein first. Like that advice is going to take 90% of people a majority of the way to the goal.
Next up, you add your cooked greens. Now, why cooked greens? They're easy to digest. You can get more of them. Raw vegetables. I know there's like a trend for a while with eating raw vegetables. This is a great way to cause bloat, gas issues, and digestive issues. You've probably experienced this if you tried this yourself. Try well-cooked greens. Eat that next in your meal. And then last, eat your starches if you still want to eat them. And so when people tend to follow this order of 30 grams of protein, a nice serving of cooked greens, then they finish with their starches, the calories tend to fall right where they need to. Right where they need to. Enough calories to build muscle and strength, not too many calories to where you can gain body fat. In fact, this tends to result in fat loss. And finally, water. A half to a gallon of water a day. Track it throughout the day. What does this do for you? Well, it hydrates you, makes you feel good, flushes things out, all that stuff. It also is great for satiety. It also prevents you from drinking other
brain
fluids.
fog, all kinds of
and now I know everybody watching this probably isn't dehydrated, but there is what's essential and there is also what is optimal. And for most people, about a half a gallon to a gallon a day is optimal. And you'd be surprised at what drinking that much water will do for your body.
I'm going to stress the tracking part because I can't tell you how many times I give this advice. And so, yeah. I hit that. And then I make them track it.
It's like 16 ounces.
And we're way under
2 glasses.
That. And so do yourself a favor, carry the half gallon thing around or something that you can easily measure. People do cups, water bottles, things like that are in odd shape or size that are only 8 to 12 ounces. Trying to mathematically figure out at the end of the day how many of those you had. Terrible strategy. Much better strategy is to carry a
big one.
Yes, a big jug, as ridiculous as it may be. Carry that around, at least at the beginning phases of figuring that out, because I have found that even my clients that claim they drink a lot of water, when we actually start tracking, they are significantly under what they think.
Now, supplement-wise, aside from a multivitamin, Creatine is a remarkable supplement. It's good for health. It's good for longevity. It's good for your brain. It's antidepressive, and it's great for muscle gain and fat loss. Indirectly will help with fat loss through the muscle building process.
All the things you want.
And women actually need creatine more than men do. They produce less of it, and they require a good amount of it. So about 4 to 5 grams of creatine a day. You could do it in divided doses if you get any gastro distress from it. Most people are fine with about 4 or 5 grams at one serving. But if you're like, oh, it makes my tummy feel a little, do half a dose earlier in the day, half a dose later in the day, and that'll really help with your fitness goals. Now, we have a quiz that we've created so that people can figure out kind of what avatar they fit under. And so what we did is we organized about 4 avatars that a majority of the people listening to this will fall under. The first avatar we named the comeback queen. This is someone who's returning after a time off, low energy, might have some aches and pains. The other avatar is efficient powerhouse, busy person, but wants results now, wants to experience and feel those results now. We have the strength novice. This is the beginner, somebody who's new to strength training. And then we have a lifestyle integrator. This person just juggles everything. They need maximum flexibility with the routine. So what you can do is you can go to musclemommymovement.com/quiz, see what you fall under. You'll get some tailored advice based off of your avatar. And then also later on, we are offering group coaching, which helps people with their consistency. But this quiz is totally free, and figuring out which avatar you are is also totally free. Look, if you like the show, come find us on Instagram at MindPumpMedia. We'll see you there. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. One of the keys to fat loss is protein. It's true. If you're not eating a high-protein diet, you're not going to burn as much body fat as you can. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the smartest ways to use protein for fat burn and to build muscle. You got to watch this.
I wish I understood this earlier in my career. I think it was probably almost 10 years in when I started to just focus on this with clients.
I knew it was important,
Yeah.
but I don't know how important.
Yeah, I also did. I knew it was important, but I also didn't